Okay, recording. Okay, so we have a new person, so I want to go through a couple of things here first. Okay. This is lower body work. So the lower body is emphasized, which is pretty counterintuitive for most of us, the lower body. It's helpful if I can see your whole body, but don't worry about it. Don't get too worried about your camera right now. The legs, the lower body, and the tendon, the lower dantian, 2 or 3 centimeters below the navel. This is where we're focusing. We're not excluding everything else in our focus, but we're curious about the lower dantian, the tendon. The bubbling well, slightly, it's behind the pad of the foot. It's really in the middle of the foot, behind the pad of the foot here. The bubbling well. Curious about the bubbling well. The tongue, throughout the practice, lays along the roof of the mouth. The ba point, straight above the ears, like a little hook, is gently pulling the top of the head up there. We're not tightening up the rest of our body to do that. Like, don't lock up your chest as you let that little hook pull the top of the head up. Keeping the elbows heavy. I'm moving from the ground like I'm using the ground, and I'm leaning into that to move from. So if I bring my elbow out, that stops at my shoulder. That's the kinetic chain kind of stops at my shoulder. So instead I want to use the ground to lift my arms. Use the ground. Okay. We're working more with the middle of the body. Less with the appendages, more with the middle of the body. Okay. Let's get started. We have a new person, so I'm going to change it a little bit today, but I like to get cranking in this class. This is the Jamjong class, and I like to crank a little bit, so let's do that. Starting out, pouring all the weight into the left leg, mobilizing the right ankle. Tongue lays along the roof of the mouth. Good to see everybody, and changing direction. Don't worry about getting your camera perfect. Let's just get going here. I've got all my weight in my left leg, and I'm gently kind of mobilizing that right foot and my right ankle all the way up my body here. And then really what I'm doing is I'm in that left leg, and now I'm opening the left quad, and I'm turning to the right, and now I'm pouring all the weight down through the right quad. Where the thigh meets the pelvis is the quad. I'm pouring all my weight down through that to the bubbling well, standing through that, and coming back to center with my waist and mobilizing the left ankle. Again, this is lower body work. All that upper body stuff, we're letting it be there, but we're somehow focusing more on the lower body. And changing direction. Putting the feet together and gently warming up the knees. My hands are on my knees, but I'm not putting a lot of weight on my hands. Changing direction. Release your lower back. Release wherever you're gripping. And now coming to shoulder width with the feet, and I'm warming up my pelvis. Nice circles with my pelvis. I'm not going to an extreme here with my pelvis. I'm keeping it a little bit conservative. I'm not redlining my joint here, my joints. I'm keeping the movement a little bit conservative. Changing direction. Right before class, I was like choking. I choked on some water. Somehow my voice is all screwed up. And now, really, our pelvises aren't very open. So let's just gently make nice little circles with the pelvis. So I'm like if taking your tailbone and drawing a little circle. And I'm arching and curling. And I'm feeling the ground. I'm in the ground the whole time. You might not even really be able to see the motion too much. And notice how as the pelvis starts to mobilize, the base of the skull also mobilizes. Changing direction. Good. Good, good. Let's kind of like open up the field a little bit. Let's kind of wake it up a little bit. So swinging the arms front to back. And I like to shake my hands a little bit here. Just kind of waking up the field a little. And then how about left to right? Let the weight of the hands help open the middle of the body. So really the arms aren't doing anything here. It's all coming from the lower body through the pelvis, and then I'm just letting my arms swing on that momentum from the ground. Great, great. And how about big windmills? Getting the energy moving here. Going the other way. Great, great, great. Let's go into Wuji, our first posture. Parallel feet, shoulder width. If you want to watch a beginner class, I recommend going on the recordings on the Discord. I want to work a little bit in this class. This is a little bit harder class. And you can do it as a beginner, but I'll let you know when if you need to go back to Wuji at any time you can, and I can suggest that. But let's work a little bit today for those that have been cranking along here. Shoulder width. Finding the bubbling well, softening the ankles, the knees, the pelvis, releasing the pelvis. Like if your glutes are firing, release Release wherever your pelvis is firing. The quad, where the thigh meets the pelvis. The quad is a decade project of learning to open through the quad. Okay, so we're learning slowly as we develop, soften through the quad, as the tendon develops. It's a whole decade project here. Let the upper body float, space in between the vertebra, space at the base of the skull. The eyes are open, like you're finding a spot on the horizon and gently staring at it. The tongue lays along the roof of the mouth. The feeling of the tongue laying along the roof of the mouth is similar in its motion, its vector, as the feeling of lightly connecting through the pelvic floor. So again, they're like a battery connecting the pelvic floor and the tongue on the roof of the mouth. They need to be gently, dynamically engaged, not forced. The bow point is gently being pulled up. There's space underneath the armpits. Space is in between the fingers. Hands are out to the side. Sinking straight down. My feet are parallel and I'm sinking straight down. I'm not going onto my heels. I'm not going onto my toes. So where do I go? I go straight into that bubbling well, down into the ground. My pelvis hasn't tipped. I've tried to keep it pretty neutral, like a fishbowl that isn't pouring forward or back and to the side. And now I'm letting my arms come up to hugging the tree. Your arms should look like they're hugging a tree, not like you're holding a big like Lego. You know, it's not square. It's not a big rectangle, it's round. And you want your fingers not too close, max like a little further apart. And you want that thumb, the first knuckle, to be gently being pulled up like a string is pulling up that first knuckle. So like if I'm here, I can't see your thumbs, people. That means it's inside the tree and you don't want that. You want your thumb to be along the trunk of the tree. We're sinking into our lower body. Don't control your breath. Don't try to direct the energy. You should be sitting down on that yoga ball or that bar stool, or so there's a sense of fullness, like the hands are expanding and the lower back is expanding, like a sense of fullness. We're not making that fullness happen, we're just letting it start to show up like it naturally wants to show up. Our bodies want to open up. They want to open up to the energy. This isn't even really Qigong work or even Jamjong work. We're using these to see this innate aspect that's there all the time. I'm not really interested in Jamjong or Qigong. They're mediums for us to dive into our experience and see something more interesting going on. So we're standing here, could be sitting, could be walking. We're using the standing right now to explore that. My elbows are not straight out and they're not dropped. So there's a real sweet spot there. So you're not controlling your breath, you're not trying to direct the energy. What are you doing? You're just feeling, you're just becoming what's happening. What's trying to happen? Curious about the tanden. If it's not a little bit hard, it should be a little bit hard. If it's not, then you need to sit more. Sit down on the yoga ball. There's a real fine line here where we need to learn to bring everything we've got to what's happening without force. This is a real big learning experience. I can bring all my intensity to feeling what's happening without force. Most of us don't have any clue what that means. If you hit your limit, you can go back to Wuji, and chances are you can probably go a little bit longer exploring that. Good. We're going to do a few more postures today. This one's a hard posture. My heater's cranked. I'm dying. Give me a sec. This is a hard posture. Pushing the ball away. So new people, this is a hard posture. You can try it. But if you hit your limit, you can go back to Wuji. Nothing wrong with that. But we're going to push the ball away. So I'm a little more on my heels here. And I'm gently pushing the ball away. Find that spot on the horizon. And wherever we're gripping, we're relaxing. Wherever our body is gripping, like a kinked hose, we're unkinking the hose. Don't control the breath. Notice how perhaps your state of mind begins to shift. Your vision starts to change. As you let the system start to open up, you start to drop into something else. This is part of the inner momentum of the system. It's okay if you shake, it's okay if you get emotional. We're delicately learning how to work with all that. We've all got our challenges. And we're here at the edge of that exploring. We're here at the edge, seeing what happens if I melt at that edge. Is there something more interesting going on here? New people, if you want to try this one, standing in the lake, my hands are straight out in front. It's like I'm resting my hands on the surface of the water up to my waist. We're going to stay in this one a little longer. That's a great posture, standing in the lake, for getting grounded, for filling up this lower body. Some of us, the ki starts to rise. It's Qi Fun, rising Qi. Very, very common. Standing in the lake is a great option. Hey Bill, you made it just in time. And people doing this, you should be like challenged. This should be challenging. If you're not challenged, I would sit a little more on that yoga ball. You're gently hugging that beach ball between the knees, and we're creating pressure in the system so that we start to work with our stuck places. Good. Instead of moving externally, we're starting to feel things internally move, internally change, align. This, you gotta kind of sit in this blue collar work enough to start to feel that, and then you'll see the benefits of the practice. Good. Good, good, good. Great. Shake off if you need to. We're doing these normal 4 standing in the river. So now it's like I'm standing in a river up to my waist. I like to imagine the river's coming at me. And I'm sitting down. My hands are on the surface of the water. If I'm reaching too much, I'll feel my whole structure kind of panic or lock up. And if I'm not reaching enough, then nothing really starts to happen. So there's a real kind of dynamic sweet spot where, this gives me the ability to start to interact. For newer people, this is a little bit of a harder class, so just bear that in mind. And while we're doing these postures, is there a way for me to find ease within the posture? Like, I'm not just banging against the wall, I'm creatively releasing. So where my system is struggling, where my body's struggling, I'm finding a way of efficiency and gravity. This is an interesting posture because our arms are out to the side. We're learning to negotiate front to back in a different way. often people feel the tanden for the first time in this posture. So we start to develop this ability, this internal language to start to work with where we're stuck from trauma, from injuries, we can start to interact, we can start to dialogue where where the dialogue had stopped. We can learn to unkink the hose. We think this is just a body practice, but actually, as we go deeper into it, we'll see the rabbit hole keeps going deeper. Make sure, especially new people, that you're like, man, it got easy. Did you just stand up? Did you kind of like, oh, I stood up? You might accidentally have just stood up, and that's okay. Just making sure your legs are dynamic, you're sinking. Good. Good, great. Shake off if you need to. Again, this is a little more challenging class. We're going to do one more. This one's not as hard, but it's a way to kind of work on our process a little bit. My fingers are pointing down a little bit. My elbows are raised a little. So my elbows aren't totally dropped. My elbows are raised a little. And now I'm sitting. I'm sitting down, okay? The tanden is day one in the monastery I was in, and it's like day, 10,000. So why is that? What was going on with the tanden? Was it just like energy masturbation? I don't think so. Something more interesting is going on. Remember to find that spot on the horizon and gently stare at it. If your eyes are darting around, you may be just avoiding feeling what's happening. There's so much of the non-directed within the ZZ. So we're not holding our bodies rigidly. We're letting all the movement happen on the inside. That direction of opening is probably completely counterintuitive. One more minute. Maybe some of you created a little board of tension somewhere to hold yourself up. Like, I'm here and I'm relaxed, pretty relaxed, but like I put this board of tension in my back and now I'm kind of just standing up through that board. Could you instead creatively release that board of tension? Maybe you don't even know what to do. Release the board and see what's really going on when I do that. Like, why do I grip myself? Maybe it's like a Pandora's box and we're here like little children learning to let that open. Learning to let this process open. Good. Good. Let's let the arms just go down and let's just totally let go for a minute. It's okay if you're shaking. It's okay if you're maybe a little nauseous. It's common, emotional. Let's take the ball again, and we're living in this fluid environment. So that ball, it's round, it's real, and let's play with it a little bit. So I'm going to pull that ball apart. I'm just pulling it slightly apart and then back. And I want you to maybe find the pace where it feels like there's resistance as you pull that ball apart, like there's a little resistance. And then you're compressing it back. And then pulling it apart and back. And let's do it just a little bit bigger each time. And it's up to you to feel your experience and feel that pulling it apart and pushing it back together. Find the right pace, the right frequency where it feels real. And as I pull it apart, my legs slightly turn out. And then as I compress back down into the earth, they go back to where they were. And you can inhale, open. And exhale down into the center of the earth. So I'm actively opening and compressing. Can't be fake with this. Can't pretend. You know, you can't kind of act it out. We got to find it for ourselves authentically. Like, oh, that's real. That's real. I feel that. That's real. Good. And maybe the last one, opening up. Like you're pulling a ball of dough apart and then you're compressing it back. Any rigidity in my system just gets in the way. And now let's make that a little smaller each time. The movement's a little bit smaller. It's not rush, but let's just make it a little bit smaller each time. What's happening? What's really happening here? Let the movement help your focus unify. Great. Great. Because we have a couple of new people, I want to go into the non-directed for a little time here, and let's just cook in this unknown. So with the non-directed, let's not create anything. And at the same time, don't block. Don't block what's trying to happen in your system. So I'm here, and if my body wants to perhaps unwind in some way, I'm taking away that editor which wants to have good posture or wants to do it right, and I'm just letting my body take over. I'm getting into my body and letting it take over for a few minutes here, 10 minutes. So don't create anything. What if our bodies are trying to do it? For me, I was always was just trying to exist in space. In the monastery, there was so much energy. I was working so hard, but I needed to learn to just exist in space without rules. And so I took this time in the non-directed. And when I really felt and listened, started to get this green light. I started to feel this sense of green light in my system. And I learned to trust that, and it started to take me deeper and deeper into a process. With the non-directed, make sure you're not trying to steer what's happening. This is very difficult. Taking your hands off the steering wheel. Bye, Austin. There's a movement within the stillness that we can learn to feel and work with. It's okay if you're afraid. Let's do one more thing. Taking my hands in front of the belly, like I'm just putting them on the counter, and I want to just stay as relaxed as I can. You know, I'm letting my hands come up to about the height of the heart, and then out. Don't overextend. And down and back. And then change in direction, down, out, up, and back. Great. Let's take our 3 big movements, gathering down to the lower dantian. Let's put the heels of the wrist on the lower back and go down to the tailbone 49 times. Like a V. Rubbing down the body. Rubbing down, rubbing down. Wherever the body's a little bit stiff, a little bit, the energy's stuck, rub it. Let's go down the outside of the arms, up the inside, down the outside, up the inside. Get your armpits, get your rib cage, get the kidneys especially along the lower back, rubbing the kidneys. And down the outside of the legs, up the inside, down the outside, up the inside. Down the back of the legs, up the front, down the back of the legs, up the front. Right. Right. Great, great, great. I'm going to give a little bow. Thank you so much. Questions, comments, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Tell me. Questions? Did we lose Elijah? Yeah. Sometimes it's just a yap fest. Other times, just crickets. Okay. Let's keep the rooms going on Discord. They're really great. So I love seeing people in them, and if you can do a room a day, possible. I highly recommend a goal of 90 minutes a day of practice. You can mix that up, of course. If you haven't done the Eightfold of Brocade, there's a video on the recorded sessions where you can watch that. It's good to know the Eightfold of Brocade. It's nice to mix that in. And I highly recommend the 30 minutes of Wuji a day. And people, that's really hard for people. But what will happen is they'll start to see, oh, there's something going on here that I didn't notice because I was kind of on the surface of it. But when I had to stand that 30 minutes, something turned on that started to change for me. So I highly recommend that. Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. See ya. Thank you. Okay.